It may be easy for me to list off some of my favorite films off the top of my head if someone were to ask me, but I would have a hard time answering if anyone were to ask me who my favorite directors were. Then, when I was making my top 5 rotoscope movies video, I realized how many Ralph Bakshi movies I like, and it really shows in the video. Since then, I've been wanting to make a video about him just so I can spread my appreciation for his work and hopefully inspire others to watch some of his films. So here we are, talking about the life and career of Ralph Bakshi. Ralph Bakshi was born on the 29th of October 1938 in Haifa, Mandatory Palestine, or what is today Israel. His family ended up moving to Brooklyn in 1939 to escape the threat of World War II. Then in 1947 they moved again to Washington, D.C., where Ralph recalls that everyone he was friends with was black. So ever since he was a kid, he was interested in urban black culture, which really shows in many of his movies. At the age of 15, he took up cartooning, and after getting expelled from Thomas Jefferson High School, he transferred to the School of Industrial Art in Manhattan, where he earned an award in cartooning at graduation. So after graduating, he started working for Terry Toons Animations. He started working out as a cell polisher, but through hard work and dedication, he soon became a cell painter, then an inker, then an actual animator, then director, and then the creative director of the studio. And all that happened before he was 30 years old. What are you doing with your life? In 1967, just before Terry Toons went defunct, he took a position as producer and director of Paramount Cartoon Studios, where he made 4 short films. However, a sudden disappearance of the theatrical animated market forced the studio to shut down. So after working in Toronto for a while, he eventually returned to New York City, where he became director of Spider-Man, as well as some commercial work on the side. One day, though, he found something special. I am talking, of course, about the comic Fritz the Cat, created by underground cartoonist R. Crumb. Ralph Bakshi enjoyed the comic so much that he wanted to make it into a movie. And after selling this idea to producer Steve Krantz, they went to Oakland to secure the rights from Crumb's wife, Dana. The final product of this plan was the first X-rated feature-length animated film in history, as well as one of the most successful independently animated films in history. Quite the change for a man who had been making kids shows up till this point. Despite the movie being a hit, R. Crumb did not like the political statements that it made, and neither he nor Bakshi worked on the follow-up, The 9 Lives of Fritz the Cat, which was actually my introduction to Fritz the Cat. Anyway, in 1972, Bakshi wrote the screenplay that would eventually become his second film, Heavy Traffic. It was also during this time that he came up with the idea for his third movie, Coonskin, and he sold that idea to producer Al Ruddy. This caused a small fallout between Steve Krantz and Ralph Bakshi. While Heavy Traffic was praised for pushing boundaries in a similar manner to Fritz the Cat, Coonskin caused a lot of controversy, to say the least, with many people decrying it for being racist. However, these days, many people, including Bakshi himself, consider it to be his best film. Something else to bring up is how Ralph Bakshi was instrumental in getting black people into animation in the first place. He was one of the few guys that would actually hire black people back then. But, needless to say, a lot of them ended up leaving after Coonskin out of embarrassment. After which, he started moving more towards fantasy films. The first one being 1977's Wizards. The movie is about 2 brothers who are wizards. One of them is good, and the other one is evil. And the evil one wants to take over the world, and it's up to the good one to stop him. It may be a cliche storyline, but it doesn't matter how cliche a story is when you have someone talented telling it, you know? There's also a strong anti-war sentiment in the film, as well as heavy use of Nazi imagery just to show the barbarism of war. Overall, it's a movie I rather enjoy. When he was done with Wizards, he moved on to make a movie version of Lord of the Rings. And Peter Jackson even said he took inspiration from it. I can't really speak on the quality of that one, though, because I've never seen it, nor have I seen the trilogy. Now, apparently Ralph Bakshi originally planned to make his a two-parter, but due to financial reasons, that idea was scrapped, and I will say that is a shame. So moving on, in 1980, the movie Hey Good Lookin' was released, a movie that had been in development hell since the mid-70s. So apparently he originally intended to have the movie made using a mix of animation and live action, sorta like Roger Rabbit. However, Warner Brothers said that that was a stupid idea and it would never catch on with the audience, so the crew had to go back and reanimate everything. And then, of course, a few years later, like I said, Roger Rabbit was released to great success using that same technique. Boy, I sure hope somebody got fired for that blunder. Speaking of blunders, I just realized that I messed up. Hey Good Lookin' was actually released in 1982. And before that, there was 1981's American Pop, which is probably my favorite movie of his. The story is about a family of Russians who immigrate to America and each have their own special impact on American music. I don't really want to give too much away because it's just a fantastic film. So anyway, following Hey Good Lookin' was Fire and Ice, another fantasy movie and another one that I haven't seen yet. So yeah. I mean, the visuals look nice from what I have seen. I'm sure I'd enjoy it. So after all these movies, Ralph Bakshi took up painting full-time for a while, with occasional returns to animation, of course. For instance, in the 1980s, he worked with Ren and Stimpy creator John Kay on The Mighty Mouse, and he also worked with Dr. Seuss on the Butter Battle Book. And then in the 90s, his last major movie was Cool World, starring Brad Pitt and Kim Basinger. For me, this movie was a little bit underwhelming. It just didn't really feel like a Ralph Bakshi movie. But then I found out that some producer or someone involved with the movie scrapped Ralph Bakshi's original idea and made it into the movie we know it as today. Apparently, Bakshi got so mad at this guy that he socked the motherfucker in the mouth. That's Hollywood for ya. I would still recommend it because I'm not the type of person to tell people what they should and shouldn't watch, you know? Come up with your own opinions. So anyway, just recently in 2015, he released his newest film, The Last Days of Coney Island, which he animated by himself. Again, I haven't seen it, but I'm excited to. Maybe I'll just go ahead and marathon his movies that I haven't seen. To wrap this up, Ralph Bakshi is easily one of my favorite directors. Everything from his subject matter to his animation style and all that, I don't know how to explain it. I guess the best way to explain it is that he is one of the people that has just inspired me beyond words. I really can't explain what it is about his movies that I like so much. Anyway, Ralph Bakshi is just someone that I gladly call a legend of animation. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
She makes men into boys, she makes giants into men. She'll have you feeling guilty before you can count to 10. Sharp mind and a body to match. Always fine dressing from a giggle to a latch. Who is the girl in the fiberglass short? Well, it's got to be Winston Schwartz.
This is a product of our great society.